HarperCollins presents Breakheart Pass by Alistair MacLean. Read by Mike Fitzpatrick. Dedication to Mary Marcel. Chapter 1. The saloon bar of Reese City's grandiosely named Imperial Hotel had about it an air of defeat, of uncaring dilapidation, of the hauntingly sad nostalgia for the half-forgotten glories of days long gone by, of days that would never come again. The occasionally plastered walls were cracked and dirty, and liberally behung with faded pictures of what appeared to be an assortment of droop-mustached desperadoes. The lack of wanted notices below the pictures struck an almost jarring note. The splintered planks that passed for a floor were incredibly warped, and of a hue that made the walls appear relatively freshly painted. Much missed-at spittoons were much in evidence, while there were few square inches without their cigar butts. Those lay about in their hundreds, the vast majority bearing beneath them charred evidence to the fact that their owners hadn't bothered to stub them out, either before or after dropping them to the floor. The shades of the oil lamps, like the murky roof above, were blackened by soot. The full-length mirror behind the bar was fly-blown and filthy. For the weary travelers seeking a haven of rest, the saloon bar offered nothing but a total lack of hygiene, an advanced degree of decadence, and an almost stultifying sense of depression and despair. Neither did the majority of the customers. They were remarkably in keeping with the general ambience of the saloon. Most of them were disproportionately elderly, markedly dispirited, unshaven and shabby, all but a lonely few contemplating the future, clearly a bleak and hopeless one, through the bottoms of their whiskey glasses. The solitary barman, a myopic individual with a chest-high apron which, presumably to cope with laundry problems, he'd prudently had dyed black in the distant past, appeared to share in the general malaise. Wielding a venerable hand-towel in which some faint traces of near-white could with difficulty be distinguished, he was gloomily attempting the impossible task of polishing a sadly cracked and chipped glass, his ultra-slow movements those of an arthritic zombie. Between the Imperial Hotel and also of that precise day and age, the Dickensian concept of a roistering, hospitable, and heartwarming coaching-inn of Victorian England lay a gulf of unbridgeable immensity. In all the saloon there was only one isolated oasis of conversational life. 6 people were seated around a table close by the door, 3 of them in a high-backed bench against the wall. The central figure of those 3 was unquestionably the dominant one at the table. Tall and lean, deeply tanned, and with the heavily crow-footed eyes of a man who has spent too long in the sun, he was dressed in the uniform of a colonel of the United States Cavalry, was aged about 50, was, unusually for that time, clean-shaven, and had an aquiline and intelligent face crowned by a mass of brushed-back silver hair. He wore, at that moment, an expression that could hardly be described as encouraging. The expression was directed at a man standing opposite him on the other side of the table, a tall and powerfully built individual with a darkly saturnine expression and a black hairline mustache. He was dressed entirely in black. His badge of office, that of a U.S. Marshal, glittered on his chest. He said, "But surely, Colonel Claremont, in circumstances such as those, regulations are regulations." Claremont's voice, though civil enough, was sharp and incisive, an accurate reflection of the man's appearance. "Army business is army business, civilian business."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?